6-liter diesel turbo, problem identification and diagnostic. How you can tell if your turbo is doing all right or if you've got some issues that require immediate or future attention. Now, before we get into the major good stuff, I want to show you what it looks like on the clean side of your turbo or the intake side of your turbo if you do not have a crankcase reroute. Basically what's happening is all the exhaust gases, any blow-by that's getting past your rings that comes out of the crankcase vent on your valve cover, it's basically getting sucked back up into the turbo inlet duct, goes straight back into your turbo, gets reprocessed, pushed out the exit port of your turbo there, goes into your charge air cooling system, and right back into the intake to be reburned in the combustion chamber. So you're basically reburning all kinds of oil, blow-by, soot, and exhaust gas that's coming out of your crankcase. It's going back into your turbo, through your entire charge air system, and back in the intake. That's the reason I recommend doing a crankcase reroute. You want to kind of save the life of your turbo, your charge air intake system, and your engine by getting rid of these all these nasty gases going back into the engine. That is going to kind of mess with your EPA regulations a little bit, but if you can get away with it, do it. It's not worth it. Now, in terms of inspecting for damage on your turbo, first thing you want to do, and you can do this with the turbo still in the engine, is you want to look for any end play in your turbine shaft, and this one is really bad. You can actually see and hear it moving, and it's got a good like 1/16 of an inch or more. That's enough play there that I wouldn't trust this turbo for another 100 miles. Once that starts moving around like that, it's just going to get worse and worse, and it's only going to like take a critical mass point where that's going to get to the point where the whole shaft is going to shatter, all your turbines are going to be screwed, and you're going to end up with a turbo that's pretty much non-rebuildable and shot to hell. Okay, so that's on the intake side, the clean side of the turbo. You're looking for any kind of play, you're looking for any kind of dusting on these fins here. If these fins look sandblasted in any way, if they look like worn down at the tips and then sandblasted down as it goes down, you've probably got an intake air leak. You're probably not getting a good seal at your air filter, and you've got sand and unfiltered air coming down into your turbo, and it's basically sandblasting those fins there. So if you see sandblasting, check your intake air system. Now, on the other side, and you can only really do this if you got the turbo out of the truck, but if you've got shaft play that was as bad as you were seeing up on the intake side, you probably got a leak back here also. But you can see, if we can get it to focus there, it's actually oily. It's covered in a nice film of oil. That means that it's leaking at the turbine shaft seal and leaking into the exhaust side of the turbo. Basically, that ends up coming out your tailpipe eventually. So if you got burnt oil coming out your tailpipe, or even like liquid oil coming out your tailpipe, you probably got a really bad turbo leak, and you need to take care of that. Take a look over here. What this should look like is a nice, dry, powdery, sooty coating. You shouldn't see any kind of wet residue on here at all. But this one is definitely wet, and I could tell by the movement of the shaft on the front that it was leaking already. But if you're not sure, come back here and look at the exhaust side, and if it's all oily, you've got problems. You need to send that turbo off and have it rebuilt, or replace it with a known good turbo. So that's it. Check out my other videos for actually taking one apart and cleaning the VGT vanes and unison ring, all that fun stuff. This video is just for external diagnostic and troubleshooting. How to identify problems.